What if everything you think you know about history is just the tip of the iceberg? Beneath the surface of dusty textbooks and familiar timelines lies a world of secrets waiting to be uncovered, one shovelful of earth at a time. Archaeology isn't just about digging up old bones or broken pottery. It's a journey into the unknown, where every discovery has the power to rewrite the stories we thought were set in stone. And let me tell you, the past is far stranger, more mysterious, and more jaw-dropping than you've ever imagined. Picture this: a team of researchers brushing away centuries of dirt to reveal an object so baffling, so out of place, that it forces us to question everything we thought we understood about ancient civilizations. Or imagine stumbling upon an entire city, lost for thousands of years, its streets still whispering the echoes of lives long gone. These aren't scenes from a movie, they're real moments from the field of archaeology, where the line between myth and reality blurs with every groundbreaking find. From eerie artifacts that defy explanation to revelations that turn historical theories upside down, the past is alive with surprises, and that's exactly what we're diving into today. 30 of the most astonishing archaeological discoveries ever made. These aren't just random facts, they're pieces of a puzzle that, when put together, reveal a side of history you've never seen before. Some will make you gasp, others might send a chill down your spine, and a few will leave you wondering how they've been kept secret for so long. So if you're ready to embark on an adventure through time, to walk in the footsteps of explorers who have uncovered truths hidden for millennia, then stay with me. Because what you're about to discover will change the way you see the past and maybe even the future. Buried beneath the waves off the coast of a tiny Greek island for over 2,000 years, a corroded lump of bronze and wood turned out to be one of the most astonishing artifacts ever pulled from the sea. When sponge divers stumbled upon the Antikythera shipwreck in 1901, they had no idea they'd just unlocked a secret that would rewrite our understanding of ancient technology. At first glance, it looked like little more than a hunk of rusted metal, but once researchers painstakingly cleaned and examined it, they realized they were holding something extraordinary, a device so advanced it wouldn't be matched for another 1,000 years. This wasn't just some ornamental trinket or simple tool. The Antikythera Mechanism, as it came to be known, was a precision-engineered masterpiece of bronze gears, dials, and inscriptions, a mechanical computer designed to track the movements of the sun, moon, and planets with eerie accuracy. Imagine a clockwork universe in the palm of your hand, capable of predicting lunar eclipses, charting the paths of celestial bodies, and even marking the dates of ancient Olympic Games. The level of sophistication was staggering, especially when you consider it was built around 80 to 60 BC, a time when most of the world was still relying on basic astronomical observations. What makes this device truly mind-blowing is that nothing even remotely close to its complexity appears again in the historical record until the mechanical clocks of medieval Europe nearly 14 centuries later. How did the ancient Greeks achieve such a leap in engineering? Who were the brilliant minds behind this marvel? And perhaps most intriguing of all, what other inventions of theirs have been lost to time? The Antikythera Mechanism forces us to confront the uncomfortable truth that our ancestors might have been far more advanced than we've ever given them credit for. It's a humbling reminder that history isn't a straight line of progress, but a labyrinth of forgotten knowledge waiting to be rediscovered. Now imagine holding a book that no one alive today can read, a manuscript so cryptic that even the world's brightest codebreakers, including those who cracked Nazi enigma messages, have thrown up their hands in defeat. That's the enigma of the Voynich Manuscript, a 204-page puzzle penned in the 15th century. Its pages are a riot of strange beauty, delicate drawings of plants that don't exist, naked women bathing in green liquid, and celestial charts filled with constellations no astronomer recognizes. But the real mystery lies in its text, a flowing, unknown script that dances across the parchment in neat, confident lines, taunting us with secrets we can't decipher. For centuries, scholars have wrestled with this bizarre tome. Some believe it's a coded medical text, its bizarre flora representing lost herbal remedies. Others argue it's an alchemist's notebook hiding formulas for turning lead into gold. Then there are the more outlandish theories that it's a message from Atlantis, a relic from a parallel universe, or even an extraterrestrial dictionary. The truth we still don't know. Carbon dating proves the parchment and ink are genuine medieval materials, ruling out a modern forgery. Yet every attempted translation crumbles under scrutiny, leaving linguists baffled. Even artificial intelligence, trained on hundreds of languages, has failed to crack its code. What makes the Voynich manuscript so tantalizing isn't just its unreadable text, it's the eerie precision of its design. The script follows grammatical patterns, suggesting a real language, not random scribbles. The illustrations, though fantastical, are meticulously detailed, hinting at purpose rather than madness. And then there's the unsettling possibility that its author never intended for it to be understood. Could it be an elaborate Renaissance-era prank, a hoax meant to mock wealthy patrons hungry for exotic knowledge? Or is it something far more profound, a lone genius's private cipher, lost to time because the key died with them? One thing's certain, this isn't just a historical curiosity. The Voynich manuscript is a mirror reflecting our own limits. In an age where we've mapped the human genome and sent probes beyond our solar system, here's a book that refuses to yield its secrets. It's a humbling reminder that the past still has the power to outwit us, leaving clues without answers, whispering riddles we may never solve. Stretching across nearly 200 square miles of Peru's arid desert floor, the Nazca lines are one of archaeology's most mesmerizing riddles. Created between 500 BC and 500 AD, these enormous geoglyphs weren't just scratched into the earth. They were meticulously sculpted, with ancient artists removing the dark, iron-rich top layer of pebbles to reveal the lighter sand beneath. The result, hundreds of stark white designs, some stretching over 1,200 feet long, depicting everything from geometric spirals and trapezoids to staggering depictions of animals. A hummingbird with wings outstretched, a spider with unnervingly accurate anatomy, even a grinning killer whale seemingly leaping from the desert itself. What makes these colossal artworks truly astonishing is their scale and precision, traits impossible to fully appreciate from ground level. Walk among them, and you'd see nothing but shallow trenches in the dirt. But ascend to the sky, and suddenly the chaos resolves into breathtaking clarity. This raises the obvious question: how, and more puzzlingly why, did the Nazca people craft these gargantuan images if they couldn't witness them in their entirety? Some researchers argue the lines served as ritual pathways walked by shamans during sacred ceremonies. Others propose they functioned as astronomical calendars, aligning with solstices or constellations to mark planting seasons. Then there's the more speculative theory that they were meant as messages to deities or even extraterrestrial visitors, visible only from the heavens. But here's where the mystery deepens. The Nazca had no known method of flight, no balloons, no kites, no technology to view their creations from above. Yet their designs are flawlessly proportioned, suggesting an understanding of perspective that defies explanation. Modern engineers using GPS and laser measurements have confirmed many lines are astonishingly straight, deviating by mere inches over miles. How did they achieve such precision without aerial oversight? Some experiments show simple tools like ropes and stakes could produce the straight lines, but the intricate animal figures remain a feat of artistry and planning that still baffles experts today. Perhaps the most haunting aspect of the Nazca lines isn't their creation, but their preservation. The desert's windless, rain-scarce climate has kept them intact for millennia, as if time itself agreed to safeguard their secrets. Yet despite decades of study, we're no closer to understanding their true purpose. Were they a desperate plea to the gods during droughts? A territorial claim etched into the earth, or something far more profound, a cosmic map, a spiritual conduit, a language too vast for modern minds to decode? The Nazca lines don't just challenge our assumptions about ancient cultures, they whisper a humbling truth that the past guards its mysteries fiercely, revealing only what it chooses when it chooses. And sometimes the most profound messages aren't meant to be read at all, but felt, soaring high above the desert, where the earth itself becomes a canvas for the unimaginable. Deep beneath the dry earth of China's Shaanxi province lies an army unlike any other, not flesh and blood, but clay and paint, standing guard for over 2,000 years. When farmers drilling a well in 1974 struck something hard, they expected to hit rock. Instead, they uncovered the elbow of a life-sized soldier, the first of more than 8,000 terracotta warriors buried in perfect formation to protect China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, in the afterlife. But this wasn't just a mass-produced army. The true shock came as archaeologists brushed away the dirt and realized every single soldier, from the lowest infantryman to the highest-ranking general, had a distinct face, each molded with unique features, expressions, and even hairstyles reflecting their rank and origins. The craftsmanship is staggering. These aren't cookie-cutter statues, they're portraits in clay with ears shaped differently, brows furrowed or relaxed, lips pressed in determination or parted as if mid-command. Some bear the delicate features of China's heartland, others the broader faces of northern horsemen. Even their armor and footwear vary, knotted cords marking rank, soles of shoes textured for grip. Experts believe real soldiers may have posed for these creations, their likenesses preserved to serve the emperor eternally, and it wasn't just warriors. The pits contain terracotta horses, chariots, and even acrobats and musicians, all crafted with the same painstaking detail. Yet the most tantalizing mystery lies at the heart of the complex, Qin Shi Huang's tomb itself, a massive burial mound sealed under a river of liquid mercury and booby trapped with crossbows, according to ancient texts. Ground-penetrating radar reveals a sprawling underground palace filled with treasures, but no one's dared open it. The risks are too great: potential collapse, toxic mercury fumes, even the fear that disturbing the emperor's rest could unleash a curse. So for now, the central chamber remains untouched, its secrets locked away, leaving us to wonder what other unimaginable wonders might lie beneath. What drives the imagination wild isn't just the scale of the Terracotta Army, but what it reveals about the man who commanded its creation. Qin Shi Huang was obsessed with immortality, consuming mercury pills in a fatal bid to live forever. His buried army hints at a ruler who believed death was just another kingdom to conquer, one where he'd rule eternally with his clay legions at his back. And perhaps that's the most haunting thought of all, that after 2 millennia they're still standing, still waiting, their silent vigil unbroken. The earth has kept their secret. For now, buried in the basement of Baghdad's National Museum of Iraq sit 3 small clay jars, each no taller than a coffee mug, that have sparked one of archaeology's most heated debates. Discovered in 1936 near the ancient village of Kujat Rabu, these unassuming artifacts date back to the Parthian Empire around 200 BC to 200 AD. At first glance, they look like ordinary storage vessels, but their contents tell a far stranger story. Inside each jar, archaeologists found a rolled-up copper sheet, an iron rod, and traces of a long-evaporated acidic substance like vinegar or wine. Put these pieces together, and you've got the recipe for something extraordinary. A primitive battery capable of generating a small electric charge. The implications are staggering. If these jars really were ancient power sources, it would mean humans were harnessing electricity nearly 2,000 years before Alessandro Volta invented the modern battery in 1800. Experiments with replicas show that filling the jars with an acidic solution creates a chemical reaction between the copper and iron, producing around 1 volt of electricity, enough to power a small LED light today. Some researchers argue these Baghdad batteries could have been used for electroplating, coating objects with thin layers of gold or silver by running a current through them. Ancient Mesopotamians were master metalworkers, and the timing aligns with a surge in intricately gilded artifacts from the region. Could this have been their secret? But not everyone's convinced. Skeptics point out that no wires or conductors have ever been found alongside the jars, and ancient texts never mention anything resembling electrical experiments. Alternative theories suggest they might have been storage containers for sacred scrolls, with the iron rods simply acting as spools. Others propose they held medicinal herbs, the acidic liquid preserving their potency. The truth might never be certain. Corrosion has erased critical clues, and similar artifacts may have been lost or misclassified over the centuries. What makes the Baghdad Battery so fascinating isn't just the question of its purpose, but what it reveals about how we view the past. We tend to think of technological progress as a straight line, with each invention building neatly on the last. But history is messier than that. Ideas flicker in and out of existence, knowledge gets lost, and sometimes civilizations stumble upon breakthroughs they don't fully understand. Whether these jars were batteries, medicine bottles, or something else entirely, they remind us that the ancient world was far more inventive and more mysterious than we often give it credit for. Maybe the real shock isn't the voltage they could produce, but the realization that our ancestors were capable of surprises we're still unraveling today. High in the Andes, overlooking the ancient Inca capital of Cusco, the fortress of Sacsayhuamán stands as a monument to engineering genius, or perhaps something even more extraordinary. Its walls, built from massive limestone blocks weighing up to 300 tons, fit together with such uncanny precision that you couldn't slide a sheet of paper between them. No mortar, no gaps, just stone meeting stone in a seamless puzzle so perfect it survived centuries of earthquakes that have toppled modern buildings all around it. The question isn't just how the Inca built this, it's how they did it with nothing but stone tools, ropes, and sheer manpower. Look closer and the mystery deepens. These aren't simple square blocks stacked like bricks. Each stone is a unique, irregular polygon, its edges beveled and interlocking like a three-dimensional jigsaw. Some curve subtly to match their neighbors, while others display odd protrusions and indentations that seem to serve no structural purpose unless you consider the possibility they were meant to lock together during tremors, acting as shock absorbers. Modern engineers have tried replicating the technique with lasers and diamond-tipped saws, yet even today, achieving this level of precision would be a staggering challenge. So how did a civilization without the wheel or iron tools accomplish it? Theories abound. Some scholars argue the Inca used a combination of wooden molds, sand abrasion, and trial and error fitting, patiently grinding stones together over months until they clicked into place. Others point to legends of a miraculous plant-based liquid that supposedly softened stone, allowing workers to mold it like clay, a concept dismissed as fantasy until modern scientists discovered acids in local plants that could indeed dissolve limestone surface. Then there's the most controversial idea, that the Inca inherited even older, forgotten technology from a precursor culture, repurposing knowledge lost to time. But perhaps the most striking detail isn't the how, it's the why. Sacsayhuamán wasn't just a fortress. Its zigzagging walls mirror the lightning bolt of the Inca storm god Illapa, and its alignment captures the June solstice sunrise with pinpoint accuracy. Every precisely placed stone whispers that this wasn't mere construction. It was an act of reverence, a dialogue between earth and sky, and that's the real wonder here. Not just the stones that defy explanation, but the minds that envision them, turning rock into a testament to human ingenuity's limitless potential. In the scorching heat of the Judean desert, a Bedouin shepherd tossed a rock into a cave in 1947, expecting to flush out a lost goat. Instead, the sound of shattering pottery echoed back, a noise that would crack open our understanding of religious history. What he'd stumbled upon were the Dead Sea Scrolls, a cache of ancient Jewish texts dating back over 2,000 years, hidden in clay jars so well preserved that their fragile parchment survived centuries of desert winds and scorching sun. Over the next decade, archaeologists would uncover 12 caves near the ruins of Qumran, each yielding more of these extraordinary documents, some nearly complete, others reduced to fragments no larger than a postage stamp. But their size didn't diminish their significance. These weren't just old papers, they were a time capsule preserving the earliest known versions of the Hebrew Bible, including every book except Esther. The scrolls' impact was seismic. Before their discovery, the oldest complete Hebrew Bible dated to the 9th century AD, more than a millennium after the events it described. Suddenly, scholars could compare these texts with ones written just a few hundred years after the originals, revealing astonishing consistency and a few tantalizing differences. Some scrolls contained passages absent from later versions, while others featured alternate phrasings that reshaped interpretations of well-known stories. Take the famous peace passage in Isaiah. One Qumran scroll reads, "The lion will eat straw like the ox," while later versions say, "The cow and the bear will graze." Tiny variations, massive theological ripples, but the scrolls weren't just biblical. Mixed among them were community rules, apocalyptic visions, and even a bizarre copper scroll listing 64 hidden treasures of gold and silver, none ever found. These writings offered a snapshot of a radical Jewish sect, possibly the Essenes, who may have influenced early Christian thought. The parallels are striking: ritual bathing resembling baptism, communal meals echoing the Last Supper, and a teacher of righteousness who clashes with corrupt priests, mirroring Jesus' conflicts with the Pharisees. Was this group a precursor to Christianity, a rival branch of Judaism? The debate still rages. Today, the hunt for missing fragments continues, with archaeologists scanning caves using drones and thermal imaging. Over 40 new scroll pieces surfaced on the black market as recently as 2021, some no bigger than a thumbnail, their ink still legible after 2 millennia. Each fragment is a puzzle piece, holding clues to how sacred texts evolved and how ancient communities wrestled with faith, identity, and survival under Roman rule. The Dead Sea Scrolls remind us that history isn't static. It's a living conversation written on parchment, hidden in caves, waiting for a shepherd's errant stone to bring it back to light. High on a windswept hill in southeastern Turkey, a group of nomadic hunters did something that should have been impossible for their time. They built a temple so grand, so complex, it forces us to rewrite the entire story of human civilization. Gobekli Tepe isn't just old, it's ancient in a way that defies logic. Carved from limestone around 12,000 years ago, this sprawling complex predates Stonehenge by 6,000 years and the pyramids by a staggering 7,000. But here's the kicker: it was constructed before humans even invented farming, pottery, or permanent settlements. That's right. The people who built this marvel were hunter-gatherers living hand to mouth, yet somehow they orchestrated a project that would challenge modern engineers. The scale is mind-bending. Massive T-shaped pillars, some weighing over 16 tons, stand in concentric circles, each meticulously carved with bas-reliefs of snarling lions, coiled snakes, and strange humanoid figures with folded hands. These aren't crude etchings, they're sophisticated art, executed with precision that suggests generations of craftsmanship. But how, without domesticated animals or wheels, how did they haul these monoliths from quarries miles away? Without metal tools, how did they carve them with such intricate detail? The conventional timeline says this shouldn't exist. Monumental architecture was supposed to come after agriculture, once people had surplus food and settled communities. Gobekli Tepe flips that narrative on its head, suggesting that perhaps the urge to worship, to create something greater than ourselves, is what drove humans to settle down in the first place. Then there's the mystery of its burial. Around 8000 BC, someone meticulously covered the entire site with thousands of tons of dirt, sealing it like a time capsule. This wasn't erosion or neglect, it was deliberate, almost reverent. Some researchers think it was a ritual act, a way to retire the sacred space as beliefs evolved. Others speculate it was hidden to protect it from invaders or natural disasters. But what if the answer is even more profound? What if the people who buried Gobekli Tepe understood its power, that this place held secrets too dangerous to leave exposed? Here's the chilling implication. Gobekli Tepe suggests that civilization didn't develop in a slow, linear crawl from hunting to farming to cities. Instead, it hints at bursts of brilliance, at forgotten epochs when humans achieved staggering complexity, only to vanish back into the shadows. Who were these builders? What compelled them to invest centuries of labor into a site with no obvious practical purpose? And most haunting of all, what else from their world remains buried, waiting to shatter our assumptions once more? The stones of Gobekli Tepe don't just stand in Turkey, they stand at the edge of history's known frontier, daring us to question everything we think we know about our own story. For centuries, Egyptian hieroglyphs were little more than beautiful nonsense, an elaborate code carved into temple walls and tombs, taunting scholars who couldn't crack its meaning. Then, in 1799, a French soldier patrolling near the Nile Delta town of Rosetta stumbled upon a slab of black basalt that would shatter the silence of the ancients. The Rosetta Stone wasn't just another artifact, it was a linguistic skeleton key, bearing the same decree issued in 196 BC by King Ptolemy V in three scripts: Greek, the everyday Demotic Egyptian, and the sacred hieroglyphs. Suddenly, the impossible became possible. The stone's magic lay in its redundancy. Greek, a well-understood language, served as the decoder ring for the other two. But don't let the simplicity fool you. Deciphering it was a battle of wits that consumed decades. Enter Jean-Francois Champollion, a linguistic prodigy who'd been obsessed with Egypt since childhood. While others fixated on matching symbols to Greek words directly, Champollion had a breakthrough. Hieroglyphs weren't just pictograms, they were a mix of sound symbols and ideograms. For example, the owl glyph represented the M sound, not just the bird itself. By cross-referencing royal names like Ptolemy and later Cleopatra, carved in both Greek and hieroglyphs, he cracked the system wide open in 1822, shouting "G Tynes mon affaire. I've got it," before collapsing in exhaustion. Yet the stone's story isn't just about scholarly triumph, it's steeped in imperial rivalry. Seized by the British after Napoleon's defeat, it's been a lightning rod for ownership debates. Egypt has demanded its return for decades, arguing it's a looted national treasure. The British Museum counters that its global accessibility, displayed free to millions, outweighs nationalist claims. Meanwhile, modern technology adds new twists. High-resolution scans reveal chisel marks and pigments invisible to the naked eye, proving the stone was originally painted in vibrant colors, a far cry from the monolith we see today. What's often overlooked is how the Rosetta Stone rewrote history beyond Egypt. Its decipherment validated the Coptic language, still used in Egyptian Christian liturgy, as a direct descendant of ancient Egyptian, bridging millennia. And it set a precedent for decoding other lost scripts, from Mesopotamian cuneiform to Mayan glyphs. But perhaps its greatest legacy is the humility it imposes, a reminder that even the most impenetrable barriers between cultures are just waiting for the right key, a slab of rock, a stroke of genius, and the relentless curiosity to listen when the past finally speaks. Tucked away in a small Texas museum lies an artifact that seems to defy the very laws of time. A hammer so modern in appearance, it looks like it could have fallen from a 20th century toolbox. But here's the catch. This hammer is encased in a solid lump of rock dating back an astonishing 400 million years. Discovered in 1936 by hikers near London, Texas, the so-called London Hammer has sparked fierce debate between creationists, scientists, and conspiracy theorists for decades. On one side, those convinced it's proof of ancient advanced civilizations or even time travelers. On the other, geologists who argue there's a far more mundane explanation. At first glance, the hammer's design is undeniably contemporary. Its wooden handle appears partially fossilized, while the iron head shows craftsmanship consistent with late 19th century blacksmithing. But the real puzzle is the rock surrounding it, a concretion of limestone and mineral deposits that, according to standard geological dating, formed during the Devonian period, long before humans walked the earth. How could a man-made object end up sealed inside prehistoric stone? Some suggest it's evidence of a forgotten industrial civilization, wiped out by catastrophe and lost to time. Others propose wilder theories, extraterrestrial visitors, or a glitch in the fabric of reality itself. Yet science offers a counterpoint. Geologists explain that concretions can form relatively quickly around objects under the right conditions, trapping debris in mineral-rich water that hardens like cement. The hammer could have been dropped or buried in a creek bed, only to be encased over centuries rather than millennia. As for the wood's fossilized state, certain types of silica-rich groundwater can petrify organic matter in just a few hundred years. Even the iron head's uncorrupted state isn't unheard of. Ancient iron tools have been found preserved in oxygen-deprived environments like peat bogs. But here's where the mystery takes another turn. Independent metallurgical analysis in the 1980s revealed the hammer's iron contains unusual purity, with almost no sulfur or carbon impurities, a composition unlike modern industrial iron, but eerily similar to artifacts from the pre-Roman Iberian Peninsula. Could this hint at an undocumented ancient smelting technique, or is it simply a quirk of the ore source? The debate rages on, with neither side able to deliver a definitive verdict. What makes the London Hammer so fascinating isn't just the question of its origin, but what it reveals about our relationship with the unknown. It's a Rorschach test for belief, where some see smoking gun evidence of rewritten history, others see a quirky geological footnote. Perhaps the truth lies somewhere in between, a reminder that the Earth still holds pockets of the unexplained, waiting to challenge our assumptions. Whether ancient artifact or oddity of nature, the hammer remains locked in its rocky cradle, keeping its secrets as stubbornly as the day it was found. In 1513, a Turkish admiral named Piri Reis assembled one of the most baffling documents in cartographic history, a world map so accurate for its time it shouldn't have been possible. Drawn on gazelle skin and rediscovered in 1929 in Istanbul's Topkapi Palace, this 16th century masterpiece doesn't just show known coastlines of Europe and Africa with eerie precision. It also depicts a landmass unmistakably resembling Antarctica centuries before the frozen continent was officially discovered. But here's what truly defies logic. The map portrays Antarctica not as the ice-clad wilderness we know today, but as a terrain of rivers, mountains, and coastlines. Completely ice-free, this anomaly has fueled speculation for decades. How could a Renaissance-era mapmaker have knowledge of a continent buried under miles of ice? Modern geology confirms Antarctica was last ice-free around 6,000 years ago, long before recorded human history. Some researchers argue the map's details, like the Ross Sea's subglacial topography, align shockingly well with sonar surveys of the land beneath the ice. Could Piri Reis have copied even older maps, pieced together from sources now lost to time? The admiral himself wrote that he'd compiled his work from 20 older charts, including some dating back to Alexander the Great's era. Among these, he cited maps no one in this age possesses. Were these references to ancient seafarers who explored a world far different from our own? Skeptics offer alternative explanations. One suggests that Antarctica on the map is actually a distorted version of South America's coast, a common error in early cartography. Others propose that the landmass represents a mythical southern continent, a concept circulating among European scholars since antiquity. But the precision of certain features like the Queen Maud Land coastline challenges these theories. The map even includes mountain ranges where modern satellites have detected them under the ice, peaks unseen by human eyes until advanced technology revealed them in the 20th century. The Piri Reis map forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about humanity's forgotten past. If it truly preserves pre-glacial geography, who were the civilization-level explorers who charted Antarctica's ice-free shores? Could advanced maritime cultures have risen and fallen during the last interglacial period, leaving only fragments of their knowledge scattered across time? Or is this simply a case of accidental accuracy, a lucky guess frozen in ink and skin? Whatever the truth, the map stands as a haunting reminder that history's pages are filled with mysteries we've only begun to decipher. And sometimes the most compelling evidence isn't found in ruins or artifacts, but in the lines of a map that shouldn't exist. In the remote mountains of China's Bayan-Ha Range, a discovery in 1938 sent shockwaves through both archaeology and UFO lore, a cache of stone discs known as the Dropa stones, each about a foot in diameter with a hole at the center, eerily resembling ancient phonograph records. According to local legend, these discs were left behind by extraterrestrial visitors who crash-landed in the area 12,000 years ago, their surfaces etched with minuscule hieroglyphs telling a story of stranded beings and their doomed attempts to return home. The tale grew wilder when a Russian researcher claimed to have deciphered the inscriptions in the 1960s, describing a race of small, frail aliens called the Dropa, who interbred with local tribes after their ship malfunctioned. It's the kind of story that blurs the line between archaeology and science fiction, but here's where things get complicated. The truth about the Dropa stones is murkier than the legends suggest. No credible archaeological team has ever documented them in situ, and the original discs, if they ever existed, have vanished without a trace. The few blurry photos that circulate show objects that could easily be mistaken for common Bai discs, ceremonial jade artifacts well documented in Chinese culture. These Bai discs, often buried with the dead as symbols of heaven, bear spiraling grooves but no microscopic writing. Skeptics argue the Dropa myth likely sprouted from a combination of hoax, mistranslation, and the allure of ancient astronaut theories that peaked during the mid-20th century. Even the Russian translator's credentials have been debunked. No record exists of a Dr. Tsum Nui at the institutions cited, yet the story refuses to die, fueled by tantalizing details. Some reports claim fragments of the stones were analyzed in the 1960s, revealing unusual metallic properties and high cobalt content, traits inconsistent with local geology. Others point to the nomadic Dropa tribe, real people of the region, whose unusually short stature and distinctive features were mythologized as alien by outsiders. Could there be a kernel of truth buried beneath the layers of speculation? Perhaps the discs were misidentified ritual objects, their true purpose lost to time, or maybe they're entirely fictional, a modern legend retrofitted onto ancient artifacts. What's most fascinating isn't whether the Dropa stones prove alien contact, they almost certainly don't, but why the myth persists. They tap into a universal human yearning for answers beyond conventional history, a desire to believe that the past holds cosmic secrets. And in a way, the discs are a kind of time capsule, not of extraterrestrials, but of 20th century fascination with the unknown. They remind us that archaeology isn't just about uncovering facts, it's also about confronting the stories we want to believe and the lines we draw between evidence and imagination. Sometimes the most enduring mysteries aren't carved in stone at all, but in the space between what we find and what we wish were true. Buried beneath a quiet Scottish suburb lies a slab of rock so enigmatic, archaeologists made the extraordinary decision to hide it from the world again. The Cotchno stone, a massive 5,000-year-old sandstone panel larger than a king-size bed, is a labyrinth of swirling grooves, concentric circles, and mysterious cup marks that defy easy explanation. Discovered in 1887 near Glasgow, this ancient canvas of intricate carvings was initially hailed as one of Europe's finest examples of Neolithic art. But by 1965, scholars were so baffled by its meaning and so concerned about vandalism, they reburied it under layers of earth, leaving its secrets locked away for half a century. What makes the Cotchno stone so mesmerizing isn't just its age or size, but the sheer density of its symbols. Over 90 carved designs sprawl across its surface, from spirals that mirror the orbits of celestial bodies to grids that resemble modern star charts. Some researchers argue these patterns map constellations or lunar cycles, suggesting the stone served as an astronomical observatory for prehistoric farmers tracking planting seasons. Others see a more spiritual purpose. The cups and rings might mark burial rites or portals to the underworld, their grooves channeling ritual liquids like blood or rainwater. There's even a chilling theory that the stone's undulating lines mimic the serpentine carvings found in other ancient cultures, symbolizing rebirth or cosmic energy flow. The mystery deepens when you consider the stone's context. It lies near a Neolithic burial site, yet its carvings lack the wear expected from foot traffic, hinting it might have been a revered but rarely touched ceremonial center. Even more puzzling are the later additions, faint Christian crosses etched centuries after its creation, as if early missionaries sought to reclaim the pagan artifact by grafting their faith onto it. This layering of beliefs transforms the Cotchno stone into a palimpsest of human spirituality, where one culture's sacred symbols bleed into another's. Modern technology has peeled back some layers of the mystery. In 2016, archaeologists temporarily unearthed the stone, using 3D scanning to create a digital replica. The scans revealed previously unnoticed details, like tiny footprints carved beside the spirals, perhaps a child's participation in an ancient ritual, and deeper grooves suggesting the stone was modified over generations. Yet despite these breakthroughs, the stone's true purpose remains elusive. Was it a prehistoric chalkboard for teaching astronomy, a sacrificial altar? Or something more profound, a tactile representation of the cosmos, where running one's fingers along the grooves connected the physical and spiritual worlds? For now, the Cotchno stone sleeps beneath the earth, its riddles intact, but that's part of its power. In a world where we're accustomed to having every artifact on display, this deliberate act of reburial feels almost reverent. It acknowledges that some mysteries aren't meant to be solved, only pondered from a distance, with the humility that 5,000 years of human wonder demands. The stone whispers a truth we often forget, that the past guards its secrets not out of spite, but because some stories are written in a language we're still learning to read. Hidden beneath the unassuming farmlands of China's Zhejiang province lies a subterranean wonder so vast, so meticulously crafted, it defies both explanation and belief. The Longyu Caves, discovered in 1992 when a curious farmer drained a local pond, aren't just holes in the ground, they're an underground empire. 36 hand-carved caverns stretch across an area that could swallow 20 football fields whole, their ceilings soaring as high as a 10-story building, their walls etched with uniform, parallel chisel marks that look more like machine precision than ancient handiwork. And yet, despite their staggering scale, there's not a single historical record, not one ancient scroll or local legend that mentions their creation. It's as if they were built in secret or by someone who didn't want their existence known. What grips the imagination isn't just the cave's size, but the obsessive artistry in every detail. The walls and pillars are angled at a precise 60 degrees, a choice that engineers confirm maximizes structural stability. Knowledge the builders shouldn't have possessed over 2,000 years ago when experts believed these caverns were carved. The ceilings are flat and smooth, the corners razor sharp, as if the workers followed blueprints drafted with modern lasers. Even more baffling, the amount of excavated limestone removed would equal roughly 1 million cubic meters, enough to fill 400 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Where did all that stone go? No debris piles or construction waste have ever been found nearby. It's as though the earth simply swallowed the evidence. Theories about the cave's purpose spiral from the practical to the fantastical. Some archaeologists argue they were quarries mined for their high-quality stone to build nearby cities. But why carve ornate pillars and staircases if you're just digging for rock? Others suggest they were imperial storage vaults hidden from raiders, yet no traces of stored goods remain. More speculative minds propose they were ceremonial spaces, their echoing chambers designed to amplify chants or rituals, or even military bunkers for a long-lost dynasty preparing for war. Then there's the most haunting possibility that they weren't built by humans at all. Local folklore whispers of Daxia, a mythical race of giants said to have dug these halls, their towering frames needing ceilings that scraped the sky. Modern technology has only deepened the enigma. Sonar scans reveal that the caves align with the patterns of stars in the night sky, their layouts mirroring constellations visible during the Han Dynasty. Meanwhile, acoustic studies show that standing in one chamber allows you to hear whispers from 60 feet away, the sound waves bouncing off the walls with eerie clarity. Were these caves designed as a giant resonance chamber, amplifying voices, or something else? The Longyu caves resist easy answers. They're a riddle carved in stone, a testament to what happens when human ambition meets the limits of our understanding. Perhaps their true purpose wasn't to serve a single function, but to endure as a monument to mystery itself, a reminder that even in our age of satellites and supercomputers, the past still holds wonders we can't explain. And maybe that's exactly how their builders intended it. In the dim light of a cathedral vault in Turin, Italy, a single piece of linen has sparked a debate that bridges faith and science like no other artifact in history. The Shroud of Turin, a 14-foot-long cloth imprinted with the faint, haunting image of a crucified man, is either the most extraordinary archaeological relic ever discovered or the most ingenious medieval forgery. For centuries, millions have believed it to be the authentic burial shroud of Jesus Christ, its mysterious image formed by some divine phenomenon during the resurrection. Others dismiss it as an elaborate hoax, a clever trick of pigments and pressure, but the truth, it's far more complicated than either side wants to admit. Let's start with the image itself. Unlike any painting or stain, the figure on the shroud is a subtle, negative imprint, like a photographic negative centuries before photography existed. When first examined in detail in 1898, amateur photographer Secondo Pia discovered that photographing the shroud revealed a startlingly detailed positive image. A man with wounds matching biblical accounts of crucifixion-pierced wrists, a spear gash in the side, even scourge marks from Roman flagrums. The anatomical precision is chilling. Medical experts confirm the blood flows align with gravity, pooling in the small of the back as they would on a crucified body. Even the pollen grains embedded in the cloth match species native to Jerusalem, including plants extinct since the 1st century. Yet science has thrown curveballs. In 1988, radiocarbon dating of a small sample dated the shroud to between 1260 and 1390, squarely in the medieval period. Case closed, not quite. Critics argue the tested sample came from a repaired section, contaminated by centuries of handling and fire. Damaged the shroud survived a chapel blaze in 1532, leaving scorch marks still visible today. Modern studies have since challenged the results, pointing to chemical inconsistencies in the dated fibers. Some researchers even propose the image resulted from a mysterious burst of radiation, an idea straight out of science fiction, but one that might explain why no one's replicated the shroud's unique depth and detail with known medieval techniques. The theological debate is just as heated. For believers, the shroud is a tangible connection to the divine, its very existence a challenge to skepticism. For skeptics, it's a masterclass in medieval relic making, akin to the lucrative trade in fake saints' bones. But perhaps the most compelling argument isn't about proof, it's about power. The shroud transcends its material. It's a mirror for what we choose to see. To some, it's evidence of miracles. To others, a testament to human ingenuity. And maybe, just maybe, it's both. A medieval artifact that somehow captured the idea of the divine so perfectly, it became sacred in its own right. What's undeniable is the shroud's grip on our imagination. It refuses to be categorized, to fit neatly into boxes of real or fake. Every new study, whether analyzing the weave pattern or the blood's chemical signature, adds layers to the mystery. Maybe that's the point. The Shroud of Turin isn't just a piece of cloth. It's a riddle about belief itself, a physical manifestation of the line between what we can prove and what we feel in our bones must be true. And in that tension, it becomes something far more fascinating than any mere artifact. It becomes a story we're still writing together. Standing sentinel on the remote shores of Easter Island, the Moai statues are more than just stone giants. They're monuments to human ingenuity and a cautionary tale about survival. Weighing up to 80 tons and towering as tall as a 3-story building, these carved figures have baffled archaeologists for centuries. How did the Rapa Nui people, with no wheels, no metal tools, and no large animals to pull them, move these colossal statues miles across rugged terrain? The answer shatters long-held myths and rewrites the story of this isolated civilization. For years, the most popular theory suggested the Moai walked into place, rocked back and forth by teams of rope pullers, shuffling them upright like a refrigerator being inched across a floor. This idea gained traction after an experiment in 2012 showed a replica statue could indeed be maneuvered this way, but recent research paints a different picture. Deep grooves carved into ancient roads tell another story. The Moai likely traveled flat on their backs, slid atop log rollers or sledges, where patterns on these roads match the statue's bases, not their sides, suggesting they were dragged horizontally, then painstakingly erected at their final platforms. It wasn't magic, it was physics, teamwork, and an intimate knowledge of the island's landscape. Yet the bigger mystery isn't just how the Moai moved, but why their movement suddenly stopped. The narrative that Easter Island's civilization collapsed from reckless deforestation, chopping down every last palm tree to transport statues, has been oversimplified. Yes, the island's lush forests vanished, but pollen studies reveal the decline was gradual, spanning centuries. The real culprit may have been Europeans. Slave raids in the 1800s devastated the population and introduced diseases decimated survivors. The Rapa Nui didn't blindly engineer their own ruin. They adapted, shifting from monumental statue building to sustainable farming and stone circle rituals when resources grew scarce. What makes the Moai truly remarkable isn't just their transportation, but their purpose. These weren't idle decorations, they were conduits between the living and the dead. Carved from volcanic tuff at Rono Roroku Quarry, each statue represented a deified ancestor, their backs to the sea, watching over villages. The largest unfinished Moai, nicknamed El Gigant, still lies in the quarry, a staggering 270 tons, hinting at ambitions cut short. And those haunting white coral eyes inserted into some statues, they weren't added until the Moai reached their platforms, a ritual awakening that transformed stone into something sacred. The lesson of the Moai isn't one of ecological hubris but resilience. The Rapa Nui didn't vanish. Their descendants still live on the island today, preserving traditions in the shadow of their ancestors' silent guardians. The statues remind us that civilizations don't collapse from single mistakes. They pivot, endure, and sometimes leave behind stone giants to whisper their stories across the ages. And perhaps that's the most awe-inspiring feat of all, not moving the moe, but ensuring their voices would never be silenced. For centuries, the Great Pyramid of Giza has stood as a silent sentinel of the ancient world, its limestone facade hiding secrets deeper than its 451 feet of carefully stacked stone. But in 2017, scientists made a discovery that cracked open new mysteries not by digging or drilling, but by harnessing the power of cosmic rays from outer space. A team using advanced muon tomography, a technique that tracks high-energy particles penetrating solid rock, detected two enormous previously unknown voids hidden deep within the pyramid's structure. One, a corridor-like space above the Grand Gallery, measures nearly 100 feet long, big enough to park a school bus inside. The other, a smaller chamber lurking behind the pyramid's north face, remains tantalizingly out of reach. These aren't just cracks or construction gaps, their precise alignment suggests deliberate design. So what could lie inside these sealed spaces? Some archaeologists speculate they might be structural chambers, designed to relieve pressure from the massive weight above the king's chamber. Others whisper of untouched treasure, perhaps the missing burial artifacts of Pharaoh Khufu himself, whose sarcophagus was found empty when explorers first breached the pyramid's inner sanctum. Then there's the wildcard theory that these voids hold symbolic rather than physical riches, representing the ancient Egyptians' obsession with the afterlife. The pyramid's shafts align with stars, its chambers mirror the Juwat, the underworld's labyrinth. Could these hidden spaces be part of that celestial blueprint, meant to guide the pharaoh's spirit through unseen cosmic gateways? The challenge is reaching them without damaging the pyramid's integrity. Traditional excavation is off the table. Egypt's Ministry of Antiquities rightly forbids invasive methods on this fragile wonder. But technology offers new hope. Miniature robotic cameras, like the ones used to explore the pyramid's narrow air shafts in 2002, could one day thread through microscopic cracks. Thermal imaging has already revealed temperature anomalies near the voids, hinting at different materials or airflow patterns. And muon scanning grows sharper every year, potentially revealing the void's exact dimensions and contents without ever touching a stone. What makes this discovery so electrifying isn't just the possibility of gold or artifacts, it's the reminder that after 4,500 years, humanity's most studied monument still guards its secrets fiercely. The Great Pyramid was built to endure, its architects crafting puzzles meant to outlast empires. Whether these voids contain burial goods, architectural innovations, or something beyond our modern imagination, their very existence whispers that history's greatest stories aren't just written in scrolls or carved on walls. Some are sealed in stone, waiting for the right moment and the right technology to reveal themselves, and that moment may be closer than we think. The Vinland map sits at the center of one of history's most heated debates, a single, fragile sheet of parchment that could rewrite our understanding of Viking exploration. Discovered in 1957 tucked inside a medieval manuscript, this yellowed map shows Europe, Africa, and Asia with an unexpected addition. A sliver of land labeled Vinland in the northwest Atlantic, right where modern-day Newfoundland lies. If genuine, it would be the earliest known depiction of North America, drawn decades before Columbus set sail and corroborating Norse sagas that tell of Leif Erikson's voyages around the year 1000. But here's the catch: no one can agree if it's a groundbreaking relic or an elaborate 20th century forgery. Carbon dating initially seemed to support its authenticity, placing the parchment's creation between 1420 and 1440. Yet the ink tells a different story. Traditional medieval ink was iron gall-based, but the Vinland map's pigment contains anatase, a titanium compound not used in cartography until the 1920s. Skeptics argue this proves the map is a modern fake, perhaps cobbled together to boost the value of the book it was bound in. But defenders counter that annotates could have formed naturally from impurities in the ink over centuries, or that medieval alchemists might have stumbled upon the compound by accident. The debate grows even murkier when you consider the map's stylistic quirks. Its Greenland is suspiciously accurate for medieval geography, yet its depiction of Asia is riddled with errors typical of 15th century European ignorance. Then there's the chilling twist. Microscopic analysis reveals faint traces of a pen trial mark, a doodled X beneath the ink, as if a forger practiced their strokes before committing to the final draft. But even this isn't conclusive. Could it be evidence of a scammer's hesitation, or just an artist's idle hand testing their quill? The map's provenance doesn't help. It surfaced in Spain with no clear chain of custody before 1957, leaving a gaping hole in its historical paper trail. What's at stake isn't just the map's legitimacy, but how we view the Norse legacy in North America. The archaeological site at Elance Orks Meadows in Newfoundland proves Vikings did reach Canada, but the Vinland map suggests their knowledge circulated among European scholars long before Columbus. If real, it hints at a medieval world far more connected and curious than textbooks assume. If fake, it's still a marvel of deception, exposing how easily our hunger for discovery can blind us to scrutiny. For now, the Vinland map remains locked in limbo, too controversial to celebrate, too tantalizing to dismiss. It's a riddle wrapped in parchment, daring us to question not just what we know about the past, but how we decide what's real. And perhaps that's the point, not to hand us answers, but to remind us that history's truths are often written in ink that refuses to dry. In the icy depths of the Baltic Sea, a sonar image captured in 2011 by a Swedish diving team has fueled speculation, debate, and outright sci-fi fantasies. Known as the Baltic Sea anomaly, this eerily symmetrical object stretching 200 feet across the seafloor looks like something straight out of a Spielberg film. With its smooth, rounded edges, towering central pillar, and what appear to be stair-like formations leading to its surface, it's no wonder some have dubbed it the Millennium Falcon of the Deep. But is this bizarre formation a relic of extraterrestrial visitors, or just an oddly sculpted pile of rocks? The answer lies somewhere between geology and wild imagination. Mainstream scientists lean heavily toward the glacial theory. They argue the anomaly is likely a glacial erratic, a massive boulder dragged and deposited by Ice Age glaciers thousands of years ago. Over millennia, underwater currents could have eroded it into its current shape, while bacterial colonies might explain the strange, soot-like residue found on its surface. Sonar experts also point out that underwater imaging can distort objects, making natural formations appear unnaturally geometric. After all, our brains are wired to see patterns, even where none exist, a phenomenon called pareidolia, which explains why we spot faces in clouds or animals in rock formations. Yet the anomaly stubbornly resists easy dismissal. For one thing, divers reported electronic malfunctions when approaching it, compasses spinning wildly and cameras shutting off unexpectedly, as if the object emitted some kind of electromagnetic interference. Samples retrieved from the site contained metals like limonite and goethite, which can occur naturally but are also found in man-made alloys. Even more intriguing are the scorch-like marks along its sides, prompting theories of a crashed spacecraft that superheated upon atmospheric entry. Could this be debris from an ancient, unknown technology, hidden beneath layers of sediment and skepticism? The truth may never satisfy either camp. The Baltic Sea anomaly exists in that tantalizing gray area where science meets speculation, where the line between natural wonder and cosmic mystery blurs with every new expedition. For now, it remains one of the ocean's great enigmas, a silent, shadowy giant on the seafloor, daring us to keep searching for answers it may never surrender. And perhaps that's the allure, not the promise of resolution, but the thrill of the unanswered question, the reminder that our world, and maybe others, still holds secrets waiting to surface. Buried in the ashes of a Minoan palace on the island of Crete lies a clay disc that has defied translation for over a century. The Phaistos disc, discovered in 1908 by Italian archaeologist Luigi Pernier, is a 5,000-year-old enigma, a palm-sized circle of fired clay, stamped on both sides with 45 distinct symbols spiraling inward like a coiled serpent. Flowers, running men, fish, and geometric shapes march in precise sequences, their meanings locked away in a language no living person understands. What makes this artifact extraordinary isn't just its undeciphered script. It's the fact that these symbols weren't carved or painted, but pressed into wet clay with individual stamps, making this the earliest known example of movable type printing in human history. A technology that wouldn't reappear for another 3 millennia. Theories about the disc's purpose range from the practical to the mystical. Some scholars argue it's a prayer tablet, its symbols encoding invocations to long-forgotten gods. Others suggest it's a royal decree or legal document, stamped with official insignias to deter forgery. The spiral arrangement hints at celestial significance, perhaps a calendar tracking lunar cycles or solar events. Then there's the tantalizing possibility that it's a narrative, telling the story of a Minoan hero or a catastrophic event like the volcanic eruption that may have inspired Plato's Atlantis myth. But without a bilingual key like the Rosetta Stone, every attempted decipherment collapses under scrutiny. Even the direction of the script is contested. Should it be read from the rim inward or the center outward? Modern technology has only deepened the mystery. High-resolution scans reveal microscopic details in the stamp's tiny cracks and imperfections, proving each symbol was made with a unique punch, not copied freehand. This suggests an entire set of typographic tools existed, yet no other stamped text from this era have ever been found. Was the disc a lone experiment, a technological dead end? Or are there others waiting to be unearthed, hidden beneath Crete's olive groves? The most haunting question isn't what the disc says, but why its creators went to such lengths to encode their message. Stamping symbols required foresight and precision far beyond everyday writing. Whatever they were communicating was important enough to immortalize in clay, yet so culturally specific that the key vanished with them. The Phaistos disc is more than a linguistic puzzle, it's a whisper across millennia, a reminder that some voices from the past refuse to be silenced, even when we can't quite hear their words. And perhaps that's the point. Not every artifact is meant to be solved. Some exist to remind us how much we've yet to learn. Off the coast of Japan's remote Yonaguni Island lies one of the ocean's most controversial mysteries, a sprawling underwater structure so geometrically perfect. It's either the most convincing trick of nature or the smoking gun of a forgotten civilization. Discovered in 1986 by a diver searching for hammerhead shark habitats, the Yonaguni Monument is a massive stepped formation rising from the seafloor like a sunken ziggurat. Its terraces, right-angled walls, and seemingly carved staircases stretch nearly 500 feet long, with some platforms as wide as a football field. At first glance, it's impossible not to see the hand of human architects, especially when you spot what appear to carved faces and an almost ceremonial altar. But here's where the debate ignites. Geologists argue the entire structure is a natural phenomenon, shaped by millennia of powerful ocean currents eroding sedimentary rock along fault lines. The region sits atop an active seismic zone where tectonic shifts could fracture stone into uncannily uniform layers. They point to similar formations worldwide, like Northern Ireland's Giant's Causeway, where nature crafts near-perfect hexagonal columns without human intervention. Even the faces could be pareidolia, our brains projecting familiar shapes onto random erosion patterns. Critics of the artificial theory also highlight the absence of telltale signs like pottery, tools, or other cultural debris you'd expect near man-made ruins. But proponents of the lost city theory counter with eerie details. The monument's two massive monoliths stand like sentinels at its entrance, their surfaces bearing what look like deliberate carvings resembling simple animal forms. Then there's the turtle platform, a flat-topped rock with edges so precise they seem sculpted rather than weathered, most compelling the structure's alignment. Its main terraces face true north, mirroring sacred sites like Egypt's pyramids, a feature unlikely to arise from random erosion. Some researchers speculated could be part of Mu, a legendary Pacific civilization said to have vanished beneath the waves, though no concrete evidence of Mu has ever been found. Adding fuel to the mystery is the monument's submerged timeline. Sea level studies suggest this area was last above water around 10,000 years ago, thousands of years before mainstream archaeology claims humans could build complex stone structures. If Yonaguni is artificial, it would upend our understanding of prehistoric engineering, and that's the real heart of the debate, not just what these stones are, but what they imply about human history. Are we seeing the remnants of an advanced culture erased by rising seas, or is our imagination rewriting geology? For now, Yonaguni refuses to surrender its secrets. Diver explorations continue, each expedition uncovering new angles, new measurements, but no definitive answers. Perhaps that's the allure. It's a riddle without resolution, a mirror reflecting our own desire to uncover lost chapters of the human story. Whether natural wonder or drowned metropolis, one thing's certain: the ocean guards its mysteries well, and Yonaguni's truth may remain as fluid as the waters that conceal it. Deep in the shadowy backrooms of museums and private collections, the crystal skulls have long held a grip on our imagination, their smooth, translucent surfaces reflecting both light and wild speculation. These eerily perfect carvings, some life-sized, others small enough to cradle in your palm, were once touted as lost relics of the Aztecs or Maya, imbued with supernatural powers or even extraterrestrial origins. Their flawless craftsmanship seemed impossible for ancient tools, their quartz material vibrating with an almost otherworldly energy. But the truth behind these enigmatic objects is far stranger than fiction, a tale of obsession, deception, and the relentless human hunger for mystery. The most famous of these skulls, the Mitchell Hedges skull, surfaced in the early 20th century, claimed to have been discovered in a ruined Mayan temple by adventurer F. A. Mitchell Hedges' daughter. With its detachable jaw and prism-like clarity, it became the crown jewel of the crystal skull legend, but science would eventually strip away the myth. Microscopic analysis revealed something shocking. The skulls bore marks of modern rotary tools, impossibly precise for pre-Columbian artisans, even more damning. The quartz itself was traced to 19th century European sources, with chemical signatures matching mines in Germany and Austria, not Mesoamerica. By the 2000s, institutions like the British Museum and Smithsonian had publicly declared them elaborate hoaxes, likely crafted between 1860 and 1900 to feed a booming market for exotic antiquities. Yet here's the twist: the revelation of their fraudulence didn't diminish their power, it amplified it. The skulls became cultural icons, starring in Indiana Jones films and New Age lore as conduits of lost knowledge. Why? Because they tap into something deeper than historical fact, our fascination with the unexplained. Whether displayed as curiosities in museums or worshipped as spiritual talismans, they forced us to confront uncomfortable questions. How easily can expert eyes be fooled? What happens when our desire for magic collides with cold, hard evidence? The real legacy of the crystal skulls isn't in their origins, but in what they reveal about us. They're mirrors of our own yearning for connection to ancient wisdom, for proof of the impossible, for stories that transcend the mundane. And maybe that's the most haunting truth of all. Sometimes the most compelling artifacts aren't the ones that tell us about the past, but the ones that show us ourselves. Scattered across the rolling hills of northern Laos, thousands of stone jars the size of small cars stand in silent clusters, their origins as mysterious as the people who left them there. The Plain of Jars is one of Southeast Asia's most haunting archaeological enigmas, a landscape dotted with massive, hollowed-out stone vessels, some reaching nearly 10 feet tall and weighing as much as 2 adult elephants. Carved from sandstone, granite, and even coral, these jars bear no inscriptions, no carvings, just rough-hewn surfaces smoothed by centuries of wind and rain. Dating back at least 2,000 years, their purpose has puzzled explorers since the 1930s, when French archaeologist Madeleine Colony first documented them. But the real shock isn't just their age or scale, it's the dark secrets they guard. From ancient burial rites to the deadly legacy of modern war, the most widely accepted theory ties the jars to funeral practices. Excavations have revealed human remains, burial goods, and ceramic discs buried beneath them, suggesting they were used as mortuary urns or part of a complex decomposition ritual. Some researchers believe bodies were placed inside the jars to decompose naturally before the bones were later transferred to secondary burial sites, a practice seen in other ancient cultures. Others think the jars held cremated ashes or served as symbolic vessels to carry souls to the afterlife. But why the staggering size? One chilling possibility is that the jar's scale reflects the status of the deceased, with the largest reserved for chieftains or spiritual leaders. Another suggests they were communal, holding multiple individuals in a collective rite of passage. Yet the Plain of Jars holds a grimmer, more recent layer of history. During the Vietnam War, American forces dropped over 2 million tons of bombs on Laos, more than all the bombs used in World War II combined, and many failed to detonate. Today, vast sections of the jar sites remain littered with unexploded ordnance, making archaeological work perilous. Teams must navigate fields where a single misstep could be fatal, relying on bomb disposal experts to clear paths before they can study the ancient jars. It's a surreal juxtaposition, researchers gingerly brushing dust from 2,000-year-old relics while just meters away, rusted cluster bombs lie half-buried in the soil. The jars themselves offer scant clues to their creators. No tools, no workshops, no quarries have been found nearby. How did these ancient people transport such massive stones without wheels or beasts of burden? Some jars were likely carved nearby, but others show mineral compositions matching outcrops miles away. Then there's the puzzling variety in shapes, some cylindrical, others conical or bulbous, hinting at possible cultural shifts over time or different functions. Local legends only deepen the mystery, speaking of a race of giants who crafted the jars to brew rice wine for a victorious celebration, or as water collectors for nomadic tribes. What makes the Plain of Jars so compelling isn't just the unanswered questions, it's the palpable sense of walking through a liminal space where ancient rites and modern trauma collide. These silent stone sentinels have witnessed millennia of human history, from forgotten funeral processions to the roar of wartime bombers. They stand as a testament to resilience, both of the land and the Lao people, who have transformed the sites into places of quiet reflection amidst the scars of conflict. The jars don't yield their secrets easily, but perhaps that's their enduring power. They remind us that some mysteries aren't meant to be solved, only honored. And in that stillness between the echoes of the past and the whispers of the wind, their story continues to unfold. Beneath the shimmering waters of Rio de Janeiro's Guanabara Bay, a cluster of submerged granite blocks has ignited a debate that pits myth against maritime history. Discovered by fishermen and later explored by archaeologists, these geometric structures, some weighing hundreds of tons, resemble paved streets, pillars, and even what appear to be the foundations of buildings. At first glance, it's easy to see why some have whispered Atlantis, or tied them to legends of a pre-colonial metropolis lost to rising seas. But the truth lurking beneath these waves is far more tangled and perhaps more fascinating than any sunken city fantasy. The granite's angular edges and symmetrical arrangements initially convinced amateur researchers they were looking at human craftsmanship. One formation, dubbed the Underwater Temple, even features a series of perfectly aligned steps leading to nowhere, as if waiting for long-vanished worshippers. Yet geologists offer a counterpoint. These rocks could be the work of nature, shaped by eons of tidal erosion and fracturing along natural fault lines. Granite often splits into flat, geometric formations, a phenomenon seen in places like California's Yosemite without human intervention. But here's the twist: scattered among the stones, divers have recovered pottery shards, stone anchors, and even a cannon, all dating to the 16th and 17th centuries. This is where the Portuguese connection surfaces. Historical records reveal Guanabara Bay was a bustling hub for colonial ships, many of which foundered in its treacherous waters. The bay's floor is littered with wrecks, their cargoes spilled across the seabed. Some archaeologists argue the granite blocks aren't ruins at all, but ballast stones, heavy rocks European ships carried to stabilize their hulls, then discarded when damaged or stranded. The steps and walls, possibly the remains of a submerged dock or breakwater built by early settlers, later claimed by the sea as shorelines shifted. Supporting this theory are documents from 1550 describing a Portuguese fort near the bay's entrance that vanished without a trace, yet the mystery refuses to settle. Local indigenous oral histories speak of a great flood swallowing coastal villages millennia ago, and sonar scans have mapped larger structures farther offshore, still unexplored. Could these be natural formations misread by hopeful imaginations, or is there a kernel of truth in the legends? The bay guards its secrets well, its murky waters obscuring answers as surely as they fuel speculation. For now, the granite enigmas of Guanabara serve as a reminder that the ocean's depths hold stories we're only beginning to fathom, where the line between shipwreck and lost city blurs with every tide. Deep in a cave on New Zealand's Mount Owen, a group of explorers in 1987 stumbled upon something that sent chills down their spines, not a relic of stone or metal, but of flesh and bone. Clinging to the cave wall was a gnarled, mummified claw, its scaly skin still intact, its sharp talons curved like daggers. This wasn't some ancient trinket, it was the perfectly preserved foot of an upland moa, a flightless bird towering nearly 12 feet tall, thought to have gone extinct over 500 years earlier. Yet radiocarbon dating delivered a shock. This claw was just 3,300 years old, meaning moa survived millennia longer than anyone believed, hiding in New Zealand's remote wilderness long after humans arrived. The discovery shattered assumptions about megafauna extinctions. For decades, scientists assumed the moa, along with other giants like Madagascar's elephant birds or North America's mammoths, were swiftly wiped out by human hunting and habitat destruction. But the Mount Owen claw told a different story, a slow, staggered decline with pockets of survivors clinging to existence in isolated refuges. This wasn't just about one bird, it rewrote the narrative of how species vanish. Imagine a world where whispers of moa sightings persisted into the age of European explorers, where these prehistoric giants might have still stalked fern-choked valleys even as sailing ships circled the globe. The claw became a time capsule, preserving not just tissue and tendon, but a haunting question: how many other species slipped away unnoticed, their final chapters lost to the shadows. What's equally astonishing is how it survived. The cave's cold, dry air created a natural mummifying chamber, slowing decay to a near standstill. Unlike fossilized bones, this claw retained its original DNA, giving scientists an unprecedented window into the moa's biology. Analysis revealed adaptations for gripping rocky terrain, suggesting these birds weren't just grazers but agile climbers, scaling New Zealand's rugged highlands to escape predators, or perhaps in their final days, humans. The claw's very existence forces us to reconsider what extinction really means. Species don't always vanish in a single catastrophic moment. Sometimes they fade like echoes, their last remnants lingering in places we've yet to explore. And that's the lingering power of the Mount Owen claw. It's a reminder that history's endings are rarely tidy, that the past holds survivors we never knew to look for. Every unexplored cave, every uncharted forest might still guard secrets of creatures we thought were gone. The Moa's Claw isn't just a relic, it's a challenge urging us to look closer, dig deeper, and question the timelines we've written in stone. Because sometimes the most astonishing discoveries aren't just about rewriting history, they're about discovering how much of it is still out there, waiting to be found. Deep in the jungles of Costa Rica's Diquis Delta, hundreds of stone spheres lie scattered like marbles dropped by a giant perfectly round, some as small as a baseball, others towering over 8 feet tall and weighing 16 tons. Carved with astonishing precision from gabbro, limestone, and even volcanic rock, these enigmatic orbs have puzzled archaeologists since the 1930s, when workers clearing banana plantations stumbled upon them. Their surfaces are so flawless that modern engineers using laser scanning found deviations of less than 2 millimeters, a level of accuracy that rivals today's machining. But who crafted these spheres, and why? The answer is as elusive as the jungle mist that clings to them. The indigenous Boruca people, descendants of the region's pre-Columbian inhabitants, whisper that the spheres were gifts from the god of thunder, who hurled them from the mountains to ward off evil spirits. Spanish colonizers spun tales of hidden gold inside, leading to countless spheres being dynamited in reckless treasure hunts. Others claimed they were navigational aids for Atlantis or landing markers for ancient astronauts, theories that crumble under scrutiny. Modern archaeology ties them to the Diquis culture, a sophisticated society that thrived between 800 and 1500 AD. Excavations near the spheres reveal pottery, gold ornaments, and even house foundations, suggesting they weren't standalone oddities but part of a larger ceremonial landscape. Some researchers believe they symbolized celestial bodies, arranged to mirror constellations during solstices. Others argue they marked tribal boundaries or the graves of chieftains, their round shape representing eternity or the cyclical nature of life and death. Yet the sphere's greatest threat wasn't time, it was human greed. During the 20th century, looters hauled dozens away to adorn gardens and hotel lobbies, severing them from their archaeological context. One was even rolled onto a barge and shipped to Harvard, where it sat neglected for decades. Today, UNESCO protects the remaining spheres as World Heritage Sites, but the damage is irreversible. Without knowing their original placements, we've lost clues to their purpose, like trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle with half the pieces missing. What lingers isn't just the mystery of their function, but the sheer audacity of their creation. Without metal tools or wheels, the Diquis artisans pecked and polished these megaliths using smaller stones and sand, a process that could have taken years for a single sphere. The patience, the communal effort, it speaks to a culture that valued symbolism over utility, beauty over brute force, and perhaps that's the real lesson of the stone spheres. Not every ancient artifact needs a practical explanation. Some exist simply to remind us that the past was capable of wonder, crafting perfection not for function, but for the sheer awe of it. Now the spheres stand silent in the Costa Rican heat, their secrets locked in stone. They challenge us to imagine a world where geometry and spirituality intertwined, where a perfect circle wasn't just a shape, but a message, a prayer, or a bridge between earth and sky. And maybe that's enough. Some mysteries aren't meant to be solved, they're meant to endure, inviting us to marvel at the ingenuity of hands that shaped them centuries ago, yet still reach across time to touch our curiosity today. In the dusty ruins of Mesopotamia's Ubaid culture, buried beneath 7,000 years of history, archaeologists uncovered something that defies easy explanation. A collection of terracotta figurines with elongated heads, almond-shaped eyes, and unmistakably reptilian features. These so-called Ubaid lizardmen aren't the stuff of pulp fiction or conspiracy theories. They're real artifacts meticulously crafted by one of the world's earliest known civilizations. But what exactly were these ancient artists trying to portray? Were these figurines representations of gods, shamans in ritual garb, or evidence of something even more extraordinary lurking in humanity's collective memory? The Ubaid culture, which flourished in what's now Iraq between 5500 and 4000 BC, was a cradle of innovation. They built the first temples, pioneered irrigation systems, and laid the groundwork for the mighty Sumerian civilization that followed. Yet among their practical advancements, these lizard-like figurines stand out as a haunting anomaly. Some depict humanoid figures with slitted eyes and scaly textures cradling infants, their postures maternal yet undeniably otherworldly. Others show hybrid creatures part human, part serpent, with shoulders unnaturally tapered, as if the artists were trying to capture something beyond their understanding. The craftsmanship is too deliberate to dismiss as artistic whimsy, and the reptilian motif is too consistent across dozens of figurines to be accidental. Mainstream archaeology offers two prevailing theories. The first suggests these figurines represent deities or spiritual intermediaries. Mesopotamian mythology is rich with serpentine gods, like the Sumerian Ningishzida, a deity associated with the underworld and often depicted as a serpent with human features. Could the Ubaid figurines be early prototypes of these later gods, a visual language for forces beyond human comprehension? The second theory points to shamanistic rituals. Tribal cultures worldwide have used masks and costumes to embody animal spirits during ceremonies, and the Ubaid figurines might depict priests or healers clad in reptilian regalia, channeling the power of serpents, a symbol of rebirth and transformation in many ancient cultures. But then there's the fringe hypothesis, the one that sends shivers down the spine. Could these figurines be fragmented memories of an encounter with a non-human intelligence? Ancient astronaut theorists point to the figurines' uncanny resemblance to modern depictions of reptilian aliens, raising provocative questions about whether oral traditions of sky gods or serpent people might have roots in something tangible. It's a controversial idea, to say the least, but it taps into a deeper truth. The Ubaid lizardmen, whether gods, shamans, or something else, reflect humanity's primal fascination with the line between human and animal, mortal and divine. What's most fascinating isn't just the figurines themselves, but what they reveal about how ancient cultures processed the unknown. In the absence of scientific frameworks, they turned to art and myth to explain the inexplicable. The Ubaid lizardmen aren't just artifacts, they're a window into the moment our ancestors first tried to sculpt the mysteries of existence into something they could hold in their hands. And perhaps that's why they still captivate us today. In their silent, staring eyes, we see our own boundless curiosity and the haunting possibility that some questions, even after 7 millennia, still refuse to be answered. In the heart of ancient Hattusa, the once great capital of the Hittite Empire, a single artifact stands out not for its size or intricate carvings, but for its eerie, otherworldly presence. The Hattusa green stone, a polished, rectangular slab of shimmering green rock, rests unobtrusively near the ruins of the city's temple district. At first glance, it might seem unremarkable, but this 6-foot-long monolith is anything but ordinary. Cut with near-modern precision, its smooth surfaces and sharp angles defy the technological limitations of its time. Carved over 3,000 years ago by a civilization that left no blueprints, no tools, and no explanation for how or why they created it. The stone's composition only deepens the enigma. Geologists identify it as nephrite jade or serpentinite, minerals not native to the region. This raises a haunting question. How did the Hittites, a Bronze Age people, quarry and transport a multi-ton block from hundreds of miles away without leaving a trace of their methods? Even more puzzling is the stone's placement. It sits at the center of a sacred complex aligned with solstice sunrises, suggesting it held astronomical or ceremonial significance. Some researchers propose it was a thunderstone, a focal point for rituals honoring the Hittite storm god Teshub, whose tempests were said to shake the heavens. Others speculate it functioned as a primitive energy conductor, its mineral properties amplifying chants or offerings during ceremonies, an ancient technology lost to time. Then there's the wildcard theory, extraterrestrial influence. The stone's uncanny precision and anomalous material have fueled speculation that it's a relic of advanced intervention. Ancient astronaut theorists point to Hittite texts describing gods from the sky delivering divine knowledge, while skeptics counter that the stone's craftsmanship, though impressive, falls within the realm of human ingenuity. Supporting the terrestrial explanation are similar artifacts, like the precision-cut basalt blocks at Peru's Ollantaytambo, proving ancient cultures achieved near-impossible feats of engineering without cosmic help. Yet the Hattusa green stone's true power may lie not in its origin, but in its silence. Unlike hieroglyphs or pottery, it offers no inscriptions, no carvings, just an unyielding emerald surface reflecting the sky. It's as if the Hittites wanted its meaning to remain fluid, a blank slate for each generation to reinterpret. Today, visitors report an odd sensation when touching it, a vibration, a whisper of energy, though science dismisses this as subjective awe. Whether sacred altar, astronomical marker, or something beyond our understanding, the stone endures as a testament to humanity's eternal dance with mystery, proving that sometimes the most profound questions are the ones carved in stone but left deliberately, hauntingly unanswered. Beneath the quiet streets of Cappadocia, Turkey, lies an underground labyrinth so vast and intricate, it redefines our understanding of ancient survival. The Derinkuyu underground city isn't just a few tunnels or storage rooms, it's a vertical metropolis carved 18 stories deep into volcanic rock. A hidden world capable of sheltering 20,000 people for months at a time. Picture this: entire families, livestock, and even churches existing in complete secrecy beneath the earth. Their only connection to the surface a series of cleverly disguised ventilation shafts and rolling stone doors weighing up to half a ton. This wasn't just a refuge, it was a fully functional society built to vanish at a moment's notice. The engineering behind Derinkuyu is nothing short of breathtaking. Soft volcanic rock, known as tuff, made digging relatively straightforward, but what the builders achieved with primitive tools defies logic. Circular staircases spiral down between levels, their steps uneven to slow invaders. Narrow corridors abruptly shrink to force attackers to crouch, making them vulnerable to defenders. Massive stone wheels could be rolled across passageways like ancient deadbolts, sealing off entire sections. And the ventilation system, a network of shafts stretching over 100 feet to the surface, ensuring fresh air reached even the deepest chambers while hiding the city's existence from outsiders. This wasn't haphazard excavation, it was wartime strategy carved in stone. But who built this subterranean fortress and why? The most compelling theory points to the Phrygians around the 8th century BC, with later expansions by early Christians fleeing Roman persecution. For centuries, Derinkuyu served as a sanctuary for the hunted, first for pagans evading armies, then for Christians escaping persecution, and later for Greeks dodging Ottoman raids. The city's design reveals a culture accustomed to siege and scarcity. Wine presses, oil storage pits, and even livestock pens were built underground, suggesting life continued uninterrupted during crises. Rooms were stacked like apartment floors, with upper levels for living quarters and lower ones for storage and worship. One chamber, carved with crosses and a vaulted ceiling, is believed to be a clandestine church where hymns echoed softly against stone walls, far from the ears of oppressors above. The most haunting detail isn't the city's scale, but its impermanence. When danger passed, residents emerged, erasing all traces of their underground existence. No smoke from cook fires, no noise, no waste, just an unassuming landscape hiding an entire civilization beneath its surface. Derinkuyu wasn't rediscovered until 1963, when a homeowner renovating his basement knocked through a wall and stumbled into a tunnel. Since then, less than half the city has been explored, with many passages still blocked by debris or deliberately collapsed to guard deeper secrets. What's left is a monument to human resilience, a reminder that survival sometimes means disappearing entirely. The Derinkuyu underground city doesn't just challenge our assumptions about ancient engineering, it forces us to confront the lengths people will go to protect their freedom. In a world where we document every moment, its very existence whispers a counterintuitive truth. Sometimes the most powerful histories are the ones meant to stay hidden. For over 1,000 years, the legend of Heracleion was just that, a legend. Ancient texts spoke of a bustling Egyptian port city so wealthy. Its temples gleamed with gold and its harbors welcomed ships from across the Mediterranean. Then, around the 8th century, it vanished without a trace, swallowed by the sea until historians wondered if it had ever existed at all. That changed in the year 2000 when underwater archaeologist Frank Godio's team made a discovery that would rewrite history. As their submersibles descended into the murky waters of Baltic Bay, their floodlights revealed something impossible: colossal statues rising from the seabed like ghosts of a forgotten world. Heracleion wasn't a myth, it was real, preserved in an eerie underwater stasis for 1,200 years. The scale of the finds is staggering. Imagine 16-foot-tall statues of pharaohs, their features still sharp despite centuries beneath the waves, lying next to hieroglyphic steels taller than a giraffe. Gold coins stamped with the faces of long-dead rulers twinkle in the sediment, so pristine they could have been dropped yesterday. But the most haunting relics are the everyday objects: ceramic perfume bottles, bronze ritual bowls, even a child's toy frozen in time as if their owners meant to return any moment. Experts call it the underwater Pompeii, but unlike its Roman counterpart, Heracleion's end wasn't fiery and swift. It was a slow, inexorable surrender to the sea. Geological studies suggest a perfect storm of rising waters, earthquakes, and liquefied soil caused entire districts to sink incrementally over decades, giving residents time to flee but leaving their city to the tides. What makes Heracleion extraordinary isn't just its preservation, but its role in history. This wasn't just any port, it was Egypt's gateway to the Mediterranean, where Greek merchants rubbed shoulders with Egyptian priests millennia before Alexandria rose to prominence. The discovery of over 60 ancient shipwrecks in its harbor, some still loaded with cargo, confirms its status as a trade hub. Among the most significant finds is a black granite slab inscribed in both Greek and hieroglyphs, echoing the Rosetta Stone's bilingual key. This decree, issued by Pharaoh Nectanebo I, not only confirmed the city's identity but helped decode forgotten trade agreements between civilizations. Yet the greatest mystery remains: why did such a vital city fade from memory so completely? Unlike Atlantis, Heracleion appears in multiple historical records, yet its location was lost until modern technology uncovered it. The answer may lie in its successor. As Heracleion sank, Alexandria rose, its fame eclipsing the older port until only fishermen's tales hinted at something beneath the waves. Today, every artifact dredged from the bay, from the gold amulets of Isis to the 7-ton statue of Hapi, god of the Nile, whispers a cautionary tale about the fragility of even the mightiest cities. Heracleion's resurrection challenges our assumptions about what endures. Its temples may be crumbled, its docks consumed by sea creatures, but in the silent, sunken dark, it achieved a kind of immortality. Not as a legend, but as a truth, one that waited 12 centuries for the right moment to surface. And who knows what other drowned metropolises lie hidden, not in myth, but in the unexplored depths of our own planet's waters. From the Antikythera Mechanism's celestial calculations to the buried armies of Zion, one truth echoes through these discoveries: history is never as settled as we think. Every shovelful of earth can upturn centuries of assumptions, proving that our ancestors were far more ingenious, more daring, and more mysterious than textbooks ever let on. The Baghdad Battery whispers of forgotten science, the Nazca lines taunt us with their celestial alignments, and Gobekli Tepe stands as a colossal question mark, rewinding the clock on civilization itself. Who could have guessed that a shepherd's errant rock would unveil the Dead Sea Scrolls, or that a farmer's drained pond would expose the Longyou Cave's subterranean empire? These aren't just artifacts, they're invitations to wonder, to question, to peel back the layers of time and ask, what else don't we know? What's truly exhilarating isn't just the scale of these finds, it's their refusal to fit neatly into our timelines. The Piri Reis map shouldn't exist, the Voynich Manuscript shouldn't be unreadable, the London hammer shouldn't be encased in 400-million-year-old rock. And yet, here they are, defying logic, daring us to reconsider everything. Archaeology isn't about dusting off relics, it's a high-stakes detective story where every clue has the power to rewrite the narrative. The Terracotta Army's silent sentinels, the Derinkuyu underground city's hidden depths, the Shroud of Turin's uncanny imprint, they all remind us that the past isn't passive. It's alive, pulsing with secrets waiting for the right moment to surface. So, which of these revelations left you breathless? Was it the cosmic precision of Sacsayhuamán stones, or the eerie whispers of the Hattusa green stone's origins? Maybe it's the haunting possibility that the Dropa stones, real or not, speak to our endless fascination with the stars. Whatever it is, let that curiosity burn brighter. Because for every mystery solved, like the Rosetta stone cracking hieroglyphs wide open, there's a plain of jars shrouded in unexploded ordnance, a Yonaguni monument dancing between geology and legend, a crystal skull blurring the line between hoax and holy grail. The Earth isn't done surprising us yet. Here's the challenge: don't just marvel at these enigmas, become part of the conversation. Share your favorite discovery in the comments, debate the theories, and keep that sense of wonder alive. Who knows, the next world-shaking find might be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone like you to look a little closer. After all, history isn't just what's written. It's what's still being uncovered, one astonishing piece at a time, and the next chapter, it's yours to explore.